Hi everyone, Mrs. Barrow here. I have a really great book to read with you today. It is a tall tale, and a tall tale has some elements to it that make it a tall tale. So in a tall tale, there is a character who usually has something extraordinary about them, but they don't usually know that they have something extraordinary about them. And in a tall tale, there's something called hyperbole. And hyperbole is something that is overly exaggerated. So you might be familiar with another tall tale, Paul Bunyan. So if you're not familiar with it, Paul Bunyan was a person who was enormously big, and everything he did was big. And when he walked, he created lakes, and he had a blue ox as his friend. So things that really can't happen are in a tall tale, and usually they're kind of exaggerated and usually kind of funny. This tall tale is called Holler Loudly, and it's written by Cynthia Lettich Smith. So as I read Holler Loudly, I'm going to be thinking about the elements of a tall tale. Again, that things are really exaggerated or use hyperbole is that word. So Holler Loudly. And you might want to plug your ears for some of this. Mama and Daddy Loudly named their baby Holler because he cried so loud that the pecans fell from the pecan trees and the prickly pear cacti sprouted more needles. So loud that every hound dog in the county rolled up his ears and tossed back his head to bay. So loud the armadillos woke from their naps and the turkey vultures dropped their feathers. Hush, folks would tell Holler, hush. Mom and Daddy loved their son. They tried everything to get Holler to speak more softly. When he was a baby, they said, hush, nicely. When he was a toddler, they say, hush, sternly. And finally, when he was old enough to go to school, they found themselves shouting, hush! But it was no use. Every few generations, a loudly baby was born, just born loud. And Holler had been the lucky one. Holler loved school. He loved art and music. He loved reading and writing. And he loved facts and figures. But every time he exclaimed, yippee-ki-yo, I love math! His words came out too loud. So loud that Mr. Smarty's chalk burst into dust and the students ducked for cover. Minnie Bell said, hush, nobody cares. Jimmy Joe said, hush, you're annoying. And Mr. Smarty said, hush, no recess for you. Holler didn't like missing recess. How he wished folks didn't mind his voice. Holler loved to go to the big old theater. He loved to stand in line for tickets. He loved to sit in the velvet seats. And he loved to see the show. But every time he exclaimed, yee-haw, I love movies! His words came out too loud. So loud he rattled the chandelier and flattened Mrs. Poofy's hairdo. The ticket seller called, hush, I'm trying to count change. The lovebirds called, hush, here comes the previews. And the usher called, hush, you gotta go. Holler didn't like having to leave the movie theater. How he wished folks didn't mind his voice. Holler loved fishing with Gramps and Gus. He loved baiting his hook with tamales. He loved floating in Gramps' boat. And he loved catching catfish. But every time he exclaimed, Yahoo! Let's land a big one! His words came out too loud. So loud that the boat tipped, sending them soaring, kersplash into the lake. The catfish yelled, hush, we're out of here. Gus yelled, hush, there goes my dinner. And Gramps yelled, hush, no more fishing today. Holler didn't like being all wet. How he wished Gramps and cats and catfish didn't mind his voice. Holler was feeling blue, so Mama and Daddy took him to the state fair. He loved cotton candy. He loved the Ferris wheel. And he loved the prize-winning livestock. But when he called, Suey! Holler was so loud that the hogs broke free. Then the cattle stampeded, and the whole fair shut down. Mama's patience had run out. Daddy's devotion had worn thin. But Gramps' barbershop quartet was singing in the town square, so they went to hear it. Holler loved Gramps. He loved Gramps' cat Gus, and he loved their barbershop quartet. Howdy! Looks like rain! Holler yelled over the singing. Hush! Daddy scolded. You're a distraction. Hush! Mama scolded. Nobody can hear the music. Hush! The whole town scolded. That's enough. So finally, Holler hushed, and the quartet crooned on. It didn't seem fair, though. Nobody was telling Mr. Smarty to stop thinking, or Ms. Poofy to take down her hair, or Gus to give up on fishing, or Gramps to forget his songs. Did folks want Holler to hush forever? Being loud was part of who he was. Would they ever appreciate his company? Loud voice and all? Holler took comfort listening to the quartet. He loved songs about cowboys, and he loved songs about best girls. He loved songs about love and little doggies. And Holler realized something. When he was quiet, he could listen better. Quiet times could be fun. Just then, Holler looked toward the sky. A tornado! It could flatten the town. Right then, Holler knew in his heart that sure, there were times to be quiet, but there were also times to be loud. All-righty! He bellowed, so loud that the land rolled and rumbled, rippled and shimmied and shook. So loud that 10-gallon hats soared into the sky. So loud that Mama and Daddy, Gramps and Gus, men and women, boys and girls sailed whoosh, plumb off their boots. Go away! Holler shouted at the tornado, which blew a raspberry at him. I mean it, he threatened on his way to the garden. Bah ha ha ha, laughed the twister. Listen up, you big bag of wind. This here's my town, and you best skedaddle. And Holler was loud, so loud, he so absolutely, positively, knee-shaking, earthquaking loud, that the tornado blew into 1,000 sweet, teeny, breezy breezes, not one with an ounce of sass. It was official. Not only was Holler the loudest boy in history, he was also a hero. Yippee-yi-yo! Everyone hollered. Yee-haw! Yahoo, yahoo, yahoo! Sang the barbershop quartet. And Mama and Daddy sighed. All righty. In the future, Gramps declared, when you're loud, nobody's going to mind. So they all joined hands, cheered and danced till the cows came home. From that moment on, Holler was quiet at quiet times and loud at loud times. The townsfolk were so delighted, they put his name on a very important sign. Holler Loudly, Public Library. Please hush. Our hero. So that is an example of a tall tale. Holler didn't know he was so loud. He had an extraordinary talent. Not maybe always a useful one, but certainly when that tornado came along, he did. And then there were all those types of exaggerations about how he blew everybody off of their feet and different things that were going on that really couldn't happen. So again, that's that hyperbole, that big exaggeration. And tall tales can be kind of funny too, like the end of the story where they named the library after him because he was so loud and it's a place to hush and be quiet. So I hope you enjoyed Holler Loudly. I hope I didn't blow out your eardrums. but kind of a fun book to read. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next week with some more books.